morning and happy Sabbath, brother. It is a privilege to be with you today, and thank you very much for the introduction, Pastor Jerry. I am happy to see Pastor Vic Navarro, although from Philippine City, and our family for that nice rendition song. We are happy that we're here. We are here today with all the active mission workers. The retirees are here also. I am happy to see you today with Pastor Sabak, our former administrator of the mission. Just last week, brethren, I attended the lawyers convention, Ryan Union, and I have discovered that we have a lot of lawyers all over the Philippines, more than, based on the records, more than 100 of them. And the judges, these judges, there are more than 10, but only a few are present attending the convention. And I'm happy to tell you that Adventist today is very well known in our country, that we advocated the religious freedom. But in fact, one of the departments that is given into my shoulder is the public affairs and religious liberty. And that is the reason why we need to encourage, every church should encourage the young people to stand for the truth. Whatever challenges in your studies, whether you're in high school, in college, or in primary schools, you need to stand for the truth, for the glory of God. Yes, in our convention, we have here the presentation of Congressman Bayon Hong, his law firm, were in charge of the litigation of the Balboa's case, and we praise the Lord that we won the case, and that will serve as the evidence that Philippine government, our country, naghatag ka na to daghan kayong regular practicing religious freedom. Today, I would like to bring your mind in this passage, Philippians 4 verse 8. You can see this verse on your screen, but if you have the Bible with you, kindly open it to Philippians chapter 4 verse 8. Let us read this verse together. Okay, let's start. Go. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Let us bow our heads for prayer. Great, loving Heavenly Father, we are now opening the words of truth. We plead for your blessing. We plead for the full measure of the Holy Spirit that will give us wisdom in this study, that we can see more fully the truth as it is in Jesus. Amen. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think on these things. Think on these things. These are the things that we are encouraged to think every day, brethren. The message that I would like to share with you today is about we are what we think. What you are thinking today. Maybe some of you are thinking now about Christmas because this day is already there. September, am I right? September 1. Or you're thinking about your bonus coming, or shopping, or you want to buy, you're planning to buy a new car, or you want to add another credit cards, loans, or get married, enjoy life to the fullest. If you think you are sick or is very dangerous, later on you get sick also. Because according to study, 90% of the disease comes from the mind. Have you ever questioned why at times negative thoughts flood your mind? There are times that people are tempted to hate themselves. There are times that people experiencing a kind of feeling that nobody loves them. Have you ever wondered how to turn such negative thoughts into positive ones? There are things that we need to do, but it won't work out. But there are things also that we can do it right. Have you ever noticed the impact of how you think on what you do when faced with an important moral choice or ethical dilemma? In other words, have you noticed that what you think affects your actions, especially when you are in a crucial situation? I'm sure all of us are familiar with this word, intelligence. It is the mental capacity of a person. What is your IQ? The user's IQ scores are the result of a formula based on the number of questions answered correctly on the test. You can see this. You can see it in the screen, grade and race. This score has been further adjusted to account for the differences in capabilities among various age groups. So, genius, 144, 140 was perfect. So gifted, above average, high average, lower average, below average, borderline low, and low. You can see it there. And I don't know, asa nakita ninyo na appeal. But this is reality. There are 10 people recorded in history with highest IQ, but I just want to give you 3 today. Number 1 is William James Sears, born in America in 1898, gifted with an outstanding IQ estimated between 250 and 300. Went to grammar school when he was only 6 years old and graduated just within 7 months. At the age of 11, he became the youngest student to have ever enrolled at the Harvard University. He graduated cum laude at the age of 16 and entered Harvard Law School at 18. So this is William Sears. Second is Terence Tao. Terence Tao, gifted with an amazing IQ estimated between 220 and 230. At marriage of 2 when he managed to solve basic arithmetic questions on his own. So that is Terence Tao. The third one is Christopher Hirata. The phenomenal IQ 235 of this 31-year-old Japanese-American astrophysicist ranks him third in this list. At the age of 12, Christopher Hirata already pursued college-level courses, calculus and physics. So this is Christopher Hirata. Howard Gardner, the mental psychologist, in 1983, proposed in his Frames of Mind the theory of multiple intelligences. Instead of defining intelligence as a single logical ability, we should see it as a set of 8 clusters of ability. So, the intelligence quotient, the means to measure your intelligence is through this way. 8, logical, or we can see it will start in naturalistic. Kinsa may ato mga nga hilig nini. It's Kuya King at Kinsa. If we talk about linguistic, we have a recorded person, one of our heroes, and it was Jose Rizal. How about logical? It's Albert Einstein. Visual artist is Michelangelo. Musical, we have a lot, Mozart. Interpersonal, smart are those people who understand their own strengths and weaknesses, who wrote stories about their lives. Kinesthetic are persons who express themselves through movement and activities. Like for example, gymnast, boxer, like Manny Pacquiao. And their personal people, smart is a person who has many friends, or like politicians. Daniel Goldman, psychologist and science journalist. In 1995, he launched an internationally best-selling entitled Emotional Intelligence, which popularized this kind of intelligence. It is defined as the sentimental capacity of the mind or the ability to identify, assess, and control emotions. Emotional intelligence. So, if we compare IQ versus AQ, IQ plays a role in critical thinking, logical and technical. EQ, or emotional, plays a role in motivational, reflective self-awareness. Last year, maybe I have told you part of my experience when I had a chance to attend the International Religious Liberty Association 8th World Congress in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, USA. This was the place where we in, and when we were there with my companions, we go to the mall, the famous mall in that area, right in the whole US, Walmart. All of you who are familiar with these stores. You know, what happened is that when we were there, when we went home with our groceries, with Atomerex, the division park director, and Pastor Hesbon, and all the missions and conferences park director, we push the car, mag-isod na sa pinalit. But what happened was that, pag-abot na mo dito sa unahan, di na maging buligid ang ligid, bisa ko sa namang duot. So what happened? We get everything that we had placed in the car. But later on, kasi kong ligi ba, so may nataluan niya, ingon si Pasawayan na, nagubah ang ligid, yan kiayo-ayo ang ligid, di maging mudagan. But I have seen this, brethren, attention shoppers, when I look around, our shopping carts will lock when taken beyond our parking lot, while entrances and exits are marked to show the boundaries. The whole lot is secured. So I can imagine, murag nakatawa ba ang nagtanaw sa mo sa CCTV tingali, nga kami dito, mga attorney ka ba na mo dito, nagsigubig-gubig sa ligid sa cart, kaya di na mo ligid. O niya, pagkat doon pa di ay automatic lock di ay ang card basta mo go beyond the limit, the boundaries. Ato na tayo mo ang lihok ang among IQ mga kaisulan. Laon mo bisa ng kaki. Yes, there are 5 distinct aspects. Knowing our emotions, managing our emotions, recognizing emotions in others, managing relationship with others, and motivating others to achieve our goals. You can see here the role of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, it determines our success and happiness in life than with other form of intelligence. It prevents or treats depression, phobias, obsessive compulsive disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, anorexia, bulimia, and addictions such as alcoholism. This emotional intelligence is not merely related to decision making. Studies shows that while a job a person gets after graduating from college might reflect their IQ. How far they advance in that job bears little relationship to it, not even connected to their grades in school. Rather, it is related to their IQ. Bulimia is an illness in which a person has regular episodes of overeating and feels a loss of control. Anorexia or nervosa, often referred to simply as anorexia, is an eating disorder characterized by a low weight, fear of gaining weight, and strong desire to be thin. Unang uban, madayon na lang inoon o kaluya, nasubrahan. Third is think more clearly and communicate more effectively. It fosters unity in group settings, a relationship with others, and promotes a happier life. So what can influence our emotional intelligence? Yes, genetic makeup, childhood experiences, good emotional support, or what we eat. Dr. Bonnie Brisol has shown that a plant-based diet is associated with healthier mood states in both men and women. And I am happy to hear you in this church very much concerned about vegetarian diet. Switching to a vegetarian diet will reduce levels of stress, anxiety, and depression, apparently because plant foods don't have arachidonic acid, which is an inflammatory fat present largely in meat and fish. And that is the very reason, brethren. And next is our activities have an impact on both our AQ and IQ. The more entertainment, like television wants, the lower the creativity and one's grades. Entertainment or internet, videos, and video games also have an adverse effect. What we believe, this has also a great impact in our minds. This means our evaluations of events, the way we think of our problem and emotion will affect how we feel that what is actually happening in our lives. What you think about, you bring about. You are, you believe. You are what you believe yourself to be. The human brain is perhaps the most mysterious part of the body. It is so fascinating that it makes us wonder what is there with it that makes some people intellectually superior than others. But since no one really knows the precise answer to this question, we are only left amazed and interested to find out who the smartest people in the world are and what they have accomplished. Let's take an example from the Bible. Wisest person, but with low EQ. A tall, handsome, and wealthy king, but has a very little emotional intelligence. Negative thoughts began to develop in his mind that represent irrational thinking, and his irrational thinking caused his mental turmoil. Who was he? Yes, he was King Saul. Three causes of King Saul's disturbed AQ. Number one is cognitive distortion or magnification and minimization. This means magnifying things that are not important and minimizing things that are significant. This was his complaint to Prophet Samuel, who had confronted him. But even so, Saul did not learn from his mistake. What was his mistake, by the way? He disobeyed God. How did Saul minimize? When confronted with his guilt, he blamed others and justified himself. He said, "Why don't you just talk about what I did right? You are focusing on things I didn't do right, which, by the way, are not a big deal." The second is Saul dwelt on the unfairness of his life. As a result of his guilt, he received a sentence, and Saul thought that the punishment outweighed the crime. After all, God had issued the verdict himself. We must acknowledge that not everyone always gets treated fairly, but even in such adverse situations, dwelling upon the unfairness will inevitably cause significant emotional problems. Third is an inordinate self-esteem. An inflated pride that was easily wounded in this case by the people and especially the women's obvious preference for another leader. Yes, you can find it in 1 Samuel 18:6-9. Perhaps King Saul had thought this way: I am the king and the leader of my people. There will be other but me who is powerful and invincible. What we think? Yes, what we are. The effect of King Saul's disturbed AQ. Although Saul was a man with wonderful potentials, he lived a selfish life, never completely trusting and obeying God, and never giving up his pride. Finally, under tremendous stress and with his enemies closing in, his sad life ended in suicide. The lesson we get from King Saul's case: when we think that we are more important than the person sitting next to us, for whom Christ also died, we have crossed the line into arrogance in pride. If we know what humility means versus self-magnification or pride, we are less likely to become seriously depressed by rebuke or disappointment. If we do not find ourselves constantly elated by applause, if we have humility and not distorted magnification of self, we are less likely to become seriously depressed by rebuke or disappointment. That it doesn't mean we should have a low sense self-worth. What we think, we become. What you think matters. He asked for wisdom and understanding, and yet the Lord gave him not only wisdom, but riches and honor and fame. Who was he? Yes, King Solomon. In the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon wrote, I said myself, come now, I will test you with pleasure to find out what is good, but that also proved to be meaningless. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. You can find it in Ecclesiastes 2, 1-10. If someone is having fun, Solomon said, I want to do what they are doing. I want to fun also what is now in the society. I want to experience it also. What's wrong with his AQ? Here, In the case of Solomon, he suffered a cognitive distorted on emotional reason, at war with emotions. It goes like this: I feel like a failure, therefore I am a failure. Oh, I feel overwhelmed and helpless, thus my problem are impossible to solve. I feel as if I am on top of the world, therefore I am invincible and cannot be defeated. But when the fun thing is gone, depression creeps in and he realizes it's all vanity. Depression, is epidemic in our society. Why? Because the fun things triggers the dopamine levels in our brain, thus creating a sense of pleasure. But they also result in a subsequent dramatic drop far below the normal level afterward. Furthermore, the more we do such things, the less they spike. Pretty soon, and between times we feel a deep, overwhelming sense of sadness. Dopamine is found in our brain that functions a neurotransmitter, a chemical released by nerve cells to send signals to other nerve cells. In short, it is a stimulant that heightens our behavior or mood. It has a major role in reward-motivated behavior, involving motor control and controlling other important hormones. The lesson we can get from the case of Solomon. King Solomon's selfish gratification did not bring happiness. By his own bitter experience, Solomon learned the emptiness of a life that seeks in earthly things its highest good. That was the time when the worldly things was placed on top rather than God. Wives, concubines, contemporaries means at the same time as depression is epidemic in our society. Thus, if pleasure things or having more fun would prevent treat depression, then we should see the lowest level of depression. The Old Testament prophet, another one, didn't have a sense of inflated pride like King Saul, nor did he engage in a self-indulgent lifestyle like King Solomon. He lived a simple life. He was a prophet, and his life was threatened by a queen. Who was he? Yes, he was Prophet Elijah. A man who had always followed God's will. Elijah had just experienced God's miraculous intervention on the Mount Carmel. Yet within a day, someone informed him that he was about to lose his life, and he panicked. Did Elijah have a reason to fear Jezebel? Yes, because she had killed all the other prophets of the Lord. But instead of depending upon God's protection, he turned and ran away. 40 days later, he was so depressed that he wanted even to die. And that is what happened to Prophet Elijah. What's wrong with this EQ? Elijah's EQ distortion was overgeneralization. He said, I am the only one who was not bowed down to Baal. The Lord let him get by with it the first time. But when the prophet repeated it, and God would not let him continue any longer in self-destructive overgeneralization. And so God had put Elijah on a depression recovery therapy. Example of overgeneralization. This always happened. Failing school, did not do good in my job, bad at relationships, so I will not be any good at all. This defeating thought is an overgeneralization. The lesson we can get from Elijah's case. The Old Testament prophet didn't have a sense of inflated pride like King Saul, nor did he engage in self-indulgent lifestyle like King Solomon. He lived a simple life, yet he suffered from significant depression because he trusted more in his capacity rather than God's intervention. Like many depressed people, the prophet wanted to be in the dark, isolated place, in the cave, but God sent an earthquake and a whirlwind to get him out of the cave and into the light. After those things, however, the Lord turned to what was the most important Elijah's recovery by providing a cognitive behavioral therapy. In other words, God corrected Elijah's distorted thoughts. When the prophet said, "I am the only one who haven't bowed down to Baal," God said to him, "Elijah, there are 7,000 others who have not bowed to Baal." And that was God's idea. I am what I think. How can we correct and improve our emotional intelligence? Yes, it's good news for us because we know this already by eating healthy food. We know what is healthy food? Plant-based diet. Getting adequate sleep. And we have a lot of studies, research, scientifically based information about the benefit of sleep, and we can practically learn a lot of lessons when times na nagdigani kay takatulog, lahig yun ang atong paminaw. That's the very important thing to do, getting adequate sleep. Avoiding bad entertainment from the internet, from movies, and from television. We need to take this into our heart because this is very important, brother. Next, rejecting cognitive distortions, and that is self-magnification, emotion-based reasoning, overgeneralizations, and negative thoughts that will make us depressed and lower our self-esteem. The best medicine we can found in the Bible in Philippians 4, verse 8. 3 cognitive mind therapy to correct our distorted thinking and distorted emotions. Our life, mind, emotion, body, and soul is safe and secure in God. Meaningful working experiences in life. This is the reality, brethren. Nothing can take away our deep inner joy and peace of mind because Jesus has triumphed in the cross over all the forces of evil, negative, self-defeating, and depressing thoughts. And so His victory is ours. So He is a refuge when we try to be in the dark and corners of our lives because of depression, and He is our strength to overcome our cognitive distortions, such self-magnification or pride, emotion-based reasoning, or our negative thoughts towards ourselves and to others, and overgeneralization. The third one is there is hope for our troubled minds. Setting our minds on things above is thinking that we are not a resident here in this world, and that one day, brethren, Christ will come again the second time. Unfairness and injustice in this world will end because we will join with Him in heaven. Amen? That is our hope. His second coming means hope. Hope for our sorrow to end. It means hope for our suffering and diseases to be well and healthy again. It means hope for our rotten and rich lives to be perfect like Jesus Christ, our Savior. Feelings must lies wait. We cannot stop them from coming, but we can choose which one to solve. And we can select them on the basis of what is true and in harmony with God's plan for our life. Proverbs 25:7 says that a person thinks in his heart so easily. If the thoughts are wrong, the feeling will be wrong. Thoughts and feelings combined make up the personal character. Our actions will become wrong. If we set our minds on bad things, we do bad things also. If we think that every day may not be good, but there is something good in every day, then we will not feel discouraged and depressed. The way we reason shapes our responses to life. Our thoughts govern what we do. Our behavior follows what is on our minds because we act out the images that we project on the screen of our conscience. Things that we need to ask, brethren. What's your word may become your action. What's your action may become your habit. What's your habit may become your character. And what's your character may become your destiny. God has a therapy for troubled minds. It is clear to us that we cannot get away with circumstances and situations that will cause us to think bad thoughts and affect our emotions, our actions, and the words we say. But how we respond to this means a lot. The good news is if we recognize our distorted thoughts, then find ways to reconstruct our thinking will change us. The Bible says, be transformed, according to Romans 12:2. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. We will not only have to recognize distorted thoughts, but must correct them and replace them with true and acceptable to God. We can see the rested brain and the tired brain because of troubled emotional condition. I would like to share with you this very important encouragement, reminders from the book Faith I Live By, page 195, paragraph 4. It says, consecrate yourself to God in the morning. Make this your very first word. Let your prayer be, take me, O Lord, as holy thine. I lay all my plans at thy feet. Use me today in thy service. Abide with me, and let all my work be wrong in thee. This is very important, brethren, that we need to do to consecrate ourselves morning by morning. Think on these things. Good report, true, praise, lovely, just, pure, honorable, virtue. Think on these things. The battle for the soul is really the battle for the mind. Jesus gives strength for muscles and puts the spring in our steps. Without Jesus, we cannot consistently do what is helpful. Jesus is the source of life. Jesus the power for temperance and habit change. Without Jesus, we cannot truly rest. Jesus is center and core to successful Christian life, brethren. The song says, Jesus is all I need. I need no other friend. I need no other one. Jesus is all I need. When I'm tired, I'm weary. On my journey home, when the road is rough and long, and I feel so all alone, when my strength is all gone, and I can't carry on, that's when my Jesus is all that I need. When life has let me down and peace cannot be found, when all my hopes and all my dreams lie scattered on the ground, or when my joy turns to sorrow and there's no hope for tomorrow, that's when Jesus, He is all that I need. Brothers and sisters, it is my prayer that all the challenges of our emotional, our intelligence, we can be able to successfully fight all these things, not by our own power, but by the power of Jesus Christ alone.